Hey there. In this video, I'm going to show you how to answer the yes, no, not given question type, also known as the true, false, not given question type. So let's take a look. In this question, you're going to have three different options: true or yes, false or no, or not given. So you already know how to identify this question type simply by looking at this part right here. This question always goes in order, so that's useful information for us to know. This way we can be more strategic about the way that we search for the keywords. And finally, as you can see from the green dot here, this is an easy question. So if you get these questions, go ahead and do these ones first. Here's a brief explanation of this question type. So it always goes in order. They are pretty easy to do, most of them are, but some questions can be tricky. And I'm going to show you some examples of that, of how certain yes, no, not given questions can be tricky. Do these questions before the difficult ones meaning the out of order questions. Next, just like all question types, this one is also composed from only 1 to 2 sentences in the reading passage. So you never really have to read more than 1 to 2 sentences. Very rarely you do. For example, if a sentence references information in the following sentence, or if the sentence references certain information in the previous sentence, then you may have to read more than 1 to 2 sentences, but usually you do not need to do that. Next, here's what's special about this question type. The way that you answer this question type is that you have to compare two sentences. So the first sentence is the sentence from the question, and the second sentence is the matching sentence from the passage. So basically, you're going to see what the question is saying and what the reading passage is saying. And we are, of course, looking at only the 1 to 2 sentences from the reading passage in which we have located our keywords. So we are comparing this sentence from the reading passage to the sentence from the question, and we want to see by comparing if the information agrees with each other. If the information agrees, then our answer is going to be true. If the information does not agree, then the answer is going to be false. If the two sentences kind of agree, but you're not really sure that maybe they agree, then the answer is going to be not given. Anytime that information is missing, or anytime that you think that the answer is a maybe, then the answer is going to be not given. So that's how you know if the answer is true, false, or not given, or yes, no, or not given. For this question type as well, you have to be able to scan for keywords, and you also have to be able to understand synonym language, because that's the only way that you're going to use the keywords from the question to find your matching sentence in the reading passage. Finally, this is a very common question type, and it makes up about 20% of the reading test questions. That's a pretty big chunk, so make sure that you know how to answer this question type. Now let's go over our basic strategy. So when you get this type of question on your exam, the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to underline the keywords in your question. Keywords are words that are proper nouns, names, places, numbers, and so on. Next, you can put a check mark next to the easy questions if it helps you. The third thing that you're going to do is you're going to scan the passage to find the keywords and the synonyms. You may notice that up until this point, our strategy is pretty much the same as when we are looking for our answers to the short answer questions or to the fill in the blank questions. Our strategy has not changed so far. But this is where it changes. At step number 4, what we're going to do is, once we have used the keywords and we have identified the matching sentence in the reading passage, at that point, we have our sentence, our matching sentence from the reading passage, and we also have our sentence from the question. So at this point, all you have to do is simply compare these two sentences, the sentence from the question and the matching sentence. Compare them and see if the information agrees with each other, disagrees with each other, or is it not given. Finally, once you have answered the question correctly, then simply put a number next to the matching sentence in the reading passage. Put the question number so that you know exactly where you found the answer to each question. This is going to be useful for us when we are looking for our answers to other questions. Now, I want to talk about how to compare sentences. This is a key component of being able to answer these questions correctly. So let's take a look at how to compare these sentences. So the first thing that you need to know is, in order to compare these two sentences, you have to do it by examining what we call parts of speech. And I'm not talking about all parts of speech, but I'm talking about the main parts of speech that are going to help us to compare these sentences. So in this case, what I mean are parts of speech like the nouns, verbs, adverbs, and adjectives. You need to compare the nouns in the two sentences, the verbs in the two sentences, the adverbs and the adjectives, and make sure that every single information agrees at each point. If it doesn't agree, then you know that the answer is false. So we can only find out whether the information agrees with each other or not by comparing these parts of speech in the two sentences. Another important thing to pay attention to is the use of extreme words. By extreme words, I mean words like always, never, only, all, every. These are extreme words. If I say, I always eat a banana for breakfast, do you believe that? Of course not. I probably eat a banana very frequently, but not always. It's an extreme word to use. If I told you that I've tried every type of food, do you believe that? It's not possible for me to try every type of food. I may have tried many different types of food, but not every. That's an extreme word as well. So that's what we mean by extreme words. And you need to watch out for these extreme words, because these extreme words might be hidden in the question. And these extreme words will basically try to trick you to pick the wrong answer. So you have to be mindful of them. Don't fall for this trap. And I'm going to show you examples of this very soon as well. So just to summarize, if all the parts of the speech and the extreme words, if they happen to be present, if all parts of the speech and extreme words are the same, that means that if the information agrees with each other in the two sentences, in the question sentence and in the matching sentence in the reading passage, if both these sentences agree with each other, then our answer is going to be yes or true. If, on the other hand, the parts of speech or the extreme words are different from one another, meaning that they do not agree with one another, the information is different. And it doesn't have to be all the pieces of information that are different. Even if one tiny little piece of information is different, then the answer is going to be no or false. Finally, if the parts of speech or the extreme words are missing, meaning we're simply not sure, the information is not given, or if you think that the answer to a certain question is maybe, well then it's going to be not given. Anytime you're not sure about the answer, it's going to be a not given. Now let me show you some examples of how to do these questions. In these examples, I'm just showing you the strategy of how to do these questions, and then in the following videos, I'm going to actually have the reading passage in front of you, the entire reading passage taken from a genuine IELTS exam, and I will be showing you how to do that very soon. So let's take a look at these examples first. For this example, we have chosen this question set. So in this question set, we are being asked about true, false, not given. This could also be a yes, no, not given, but that is not the question that we have received. They're both similar. The strategy is exactly the same, but in this case, we have to answer with true, false, or not given. So when we see a question set like this, the first thing we have to do is we have to mark all the keywords. So let's go ahead and do that really quickly. Boom, done. So we're going to be underlining keywords like metal, process, specific properties. In number 10, our keywords are Pilkington. We love proper nouns, so that one's going to be easy. I already know that. Invested is another keyword, and money. For number 11, Pilkington is also another keyword here, full-scale plant, and instant commercial success. Those are going to be our keywords for questions number 9, 10, and 11. You may have noticed that there are certain words which I have left out. Words like float and float plant. Why do you think that is? You see, this entire reading passage happens to be about float plants. It's all about that. The whole article is about float plants. So do you think that this keyword is really going to be helpful to us? No, this is a repetitive keyword and it's useless to us because this keyword is going to appear again and again throughout the entire article. So this is not really a useful keyword. Of course, you would find that out if you had the reading passage in front of you. You would see that the title of the reading passage tells you that this reading passage is going to be about float plants. So you don't have the title here, but I already took a look at the title of the reading passage, and that's how I know that the whole article is about float plants. So that's why that's a repetitive keyword. And the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to identify the easy keywords. So you already know by now that proper nouns are some of the easiest keywords. So for that reason, number 10 and number 11 are going to be the easiest ones to solve. So we're going to answer those ones first. Personally, I like to mark the easy questions with a little check mark. So we're going to go ahead and do questions number 10 and 11 first. So let's go ahead and get right into it. So here's our question number 10. The question says, Pilkington invested some of his own money in his float plant. So here's our paragraph. I've taken this from the reading passage. So the first thing that we're going to do is when we're scanning this portion of the reading passage, we're going to be looking for keywords, and right away we see that Pilkington appears at the beginning of this paragraph. So there's our first keyword. Let's see if we can find anything else. So you'll see that down here it says costing, and it also mentions money in terms of numbers, £100,000 per month. So that right there is also part of our keyword because we were looking for money. We haven't found the term money, but we have found synonym language. This is synonym language for money. £100,000 and costing. Those are synonym words for money. So we know that we are likely to find our answer somewhere around here. And this portion where we're going to find our answer, we're going to underline it because this is going to be the matching sentence. So let's go ahead and read our matching sentence. Pilkington built a pilot plant in 1953, and by 1955, he had convinced his company to build a full-scale plant. However, it took 14 months of non-stop production, costing the company £100,000 per month. All right, so you have the matching sentence right here. You have the question sentence right here. What are you supposed to do now? What should you do? You should now compare these two sentences with each other. You need to compare them in order to find out if the information agrees with each other or does it not? What do you think? I want you to take a moment and guess the answer. What do you think is the correct answer? Does the information match with each other? Does it not? Or is the information not given? I should warn you that this is a bit of a tricky question. It's a little bit tricky. Alright, so let's break it down. The question says that Pilkington invested his own money, some of his own money. But what does the matching sentence say? Well, the matching sentence says that Pilkington convinced his company to build a full-scale plant. It costed the company £100,000 per month. So what do you think the correct answer is going to be? Does the information agree with each other in these two sentences? Or does it disagree? Or is it simply not given? The correct answer for this one is that the information is not given. See, this is why this is a tricky one. In this case, in reality, the parts of speech or extreme words are missing. It's simply missing. Guys, we do not know if Pilkington invested some of his own money or not. We know for a fact that he convinced his company, and we know also for a fact that his company paid £100,000 per month. So we know that his company definitely invested money into the float plant. But it's also possible that Pilkington also invested some of his own money. See, in the reading passage, it doesn't say that only the company invested its own money. It doesn't say that only the company invested the money. Maybe the company invested the money, but so did Pilkington. Perhaps Pilkington also invested some of his own money. So the real answer to this question is maybe. Did Pilkington invest some of his own money in his float plant? Maybe. We don't know that. The information is not given. It is missing. But maybe he didn't invest some of his own money. We don't know. See? So for that reason, the answer is going to be not given. So you have to watch out for questions like this. It can be a little bit tricky, but if you are paying careful attention to questions like this, and if you're careful about how you are matching the information, how you are comparing the information in the two sentences, then you'll be able to pick up on things like this. They're trying to trick you to pick the wrong answer. So be careful that you are comparing the pieces of information in these two sentences correctly. Now let's move on and let's do the next question, question number 11. Before we do that, we're just going to mark this question with a little number 10 over here, since we found the answer to number 10 right here. And this way we'll know that the answer to number 11 is going to come after this line. So here is question number 11. Pilkington's first full-scale plant was an instant commercial success. So here is our paragraph, and this is the same paragraph that you saw for the previous question, and I've put the same paragraph here because you're going to find the answer in the same paragraph. So we're going to first look for our keywords. The word Pilkington appears here, and the keyword full-scale plant appears here. So we found two of our keywords right here. Let's see if we can find anything else. We have found something about success, something about succeeding, success, and that was one of our keywords up here in the question. We wanted to know if Pilkington's first full-scale plant was an instant success or not. So we're probably going to find information about that in this sentence right here. So I'm going to mark this part. I'm going to underline it because I think that I'm going to find my answer somewhere around here. So this is going to be our matching sentence. So let's start reading, and I'm going to read from here. However, it took 14 months of non-stop production, costing the company £100,000 a month. So we already know that it took the company 14 months of nonstop production to even have anything usable. It says before the plant produced any usable glass. So it took a while for them to produce a product. Let's keep reading on. I'm not sure if I found my answer yet, so I'm going to keep reading on. Furthermore, once they succeeded in making marketable flat glass, the machine was turned off for a service to prepare it for years of continuous production. So here it says that after they succeeded in making a marketable flat glass, the machine was turned off. And we might choose to read the next sentence here as well, just to confirm our answer. Sometimes you may not be sure, and you may choose to read one extra sentence. That's fine. If you have to read one extra sentence to confirm your answer, then nothing wrong with that. Go ahead and do that. So I'm going to read this extra sentence as well. When it started up again, it took another 4 months to get the process right again. So it took another 4 months. It seems like this whole thing has dragged on for a long time. First 14 months for nonstop production, then they had to turn the service off. Then when they started it back up again, they had to take another break of 4 months. So I would say that the information does not agree. The information in the question says that it was an instant commercial success. But that's not what we found in the reading passage. So in this case, the parts of speech or extreme words are different. So we are comparing parts of speech here. Parts of speech, like here it says instant success. Was it an instant success? No, it was not. It says 14 months of nonstop production. It says it was turned off. And then when they started it back up again, it took another 4 months to get the process right again. So no, this information does not match. The parts of speech are different. So the answer is going to be no or false. In this case, we're going to put false, since this is a true-false question. Finally, let's put a number next to it. Let's put number 11 for question number 11, so we know at which line we found our answer. Finally, we're going to come back to number 9. So we've done our easy questions first. So all we have to do is answer question number 9 now. And by this point, you will know where in the reading passage you found the answers to question number 10 and number 11, because you put a little number next to it. So that way you know exactly where you found the answers to number 10 and 11. So you will have to look for somewhere before question number 10, somewhere before where you found the answer to number 10 is where you're going to find the answer to question number 9. So let's read this question. The metal used in the float process had to have specific properties. So here's our paragraph, and first we're going to scan for keywords and synonym language. So here we go. Right away I see the word process. So this paragraph is going to start talking about the float process. Let's keep moving on. And over here we see the word process again. Down here we see the word metal. Metal is another word that we are searching for. And here it appears again. Another metal. Another metal. And then over here, what I notice is that over here, it's starting to talk about properties, certain properties. It does not mention the word properties, but it is using synonym language, because instead of using the word properties, it is giving me an example of property, of several properties in fact. Properties like something that melts at a temperature less than 600 degrees Celsius. It also says that it cannot boil at a temperature below 1500 degrees Celsius. So these two here are examples of properties. The melting point, it's talking about the melting point, and it's also talking about the boiling point. So those are specific properties. So that is synonym language. So we're going to mark that part. You can underline it. This is going to be synonym language for specific properties of the metal. So now we have located our matching sentence. This is our matching sentence, and all we have to do now is compare the information in this sentence to the information in the question sentence. So let's go through it one more time. It says that the metal used in the float process had to have specific properties. It had to have. There was no other way. It had to have specific properties, otherwise it would not work. So here in the reading passage it says the metal had to melt at a temperature less than the hardening point of glass, which is about 600 degrees Celsius, but could not boil at a temperature below the temperature of the molten glass, about 1500 degrees Celsius. Well, it seems to me that this is important. These specific properties are very important for the float process. The metal had to go through this process. It just had to. Otherwise, it probably would not have worked. So I'm going to say that the information in these two sentences seem to match. The parts of speech are the same. So if the parts of speech are the same, then the answer is going to be true. So we have now answered all of our questions. You can put a number 9 next to it if you want. You might choose to do this if there are more questions in the question set. If this happens to be the last question, then you don't have to do this. Awesome. So we are now done with looking at how to answer the true, false, not given question type. And in the following videos, I want to show you practice questions in more detail.